Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to a episode of I Heart Geek.
Oh God, what's up with the whip?
Well, it's a thing, yeah. Because we're talking about Indiana Jones. All of them. Every one that matters of Indiana Jones, we're going to talk about. You can guess which one we're not going to talk about just by me saying that, right?
Temple of Doom.
Oh, you can shut your Cali Mob mouth right now before I say something and make your heart come out in my hand and burn it. It's one of those things.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. If you haven't watched Indiana Jones by now, really, why are you listening to this episode or anything geek? Because this is geek cred right here, I think, watching Indiana Jones. Let me introduce our panel before I insult everyone to death. I'm Dub and I do stuff. And with me is Chris Giorgetti. And with me is Michelle. And with us is Pixie. And with us is Skeeter. Yeah, there you go. Sorry. My screen's backwards, so I point to the wrong person all the time. I apologize. Okay, Indiana Jones. What I want to ask everyone before we start, what is your favorite Indiana Jones movie with no explanation? Ooh, let's start with you, Chris.
Last Crusade.
Really? Oh man, I want explanations, but I said we can't. Okay. Michelle, what about you? Which one is your favorite?
I'm going with Raiders.
Outstanding. Pixie?
Raiders.
And Skeeter?
The Last Crusade. You thought I was going to say the Chris, but no. The Last Crusade. All day, the Last Crusade. Air high five right now.
We're friends, so I would assume you wouldn't say Crystal Skull because that one didn't count.
The dog's name was Indiana.
That was a great line.
It's the best.
You know what I forgot to do? We have a sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by snakes. Just because Indy doesn't like them doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I don't, but I thought it was kind of a funny start line. No, I didn't even get a chuckle on that one. These are getting notoriously worse.
I laugh on the inside, Dub.
Wow. So in other words, I see that laugh when your face melts and the laugh comes out because it was on the inside.
Yeah. It's gonna be one of those shows, isn't it?
That scene was terrifying to me as a kid, and we'll get to it in a few minutes, I'm sure. So what is it that connected you with the Indiana Jones franchise? What was that one thing that just like did it? And for me, honestly, there's two things: the whip and the fedora. I know they're just props, but to me, those two little props so defined a character. It was amazing to me. But that's what really, I mean, yes, we can go for the adventure and the, his character and all that, but for me, it was those two things. Michelle, what about you? What about Indiana Jones connected with you first?
Probably just when I was watching Raiders, and it just stuck with me, just being traumatized by the arc, and like just the opening and the face melting, but it was like, here's Indy going after these evil dudes, but the arc was like this amazing piece of folklore and all that. So I don't know, just all of it.
Pixie?
So this is gonna sound weird, but the actors are actually what made it for me.
Yeah.
Watching it and going back and then watching a sequel and then another one and just having that story continue, having the adventure that you feel like you're on with them. That is what stood out to me. You don't realize that you're kind of along for the ride until you're along for the ride, and that's not including the ride itself.
I like the ride. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too.
Skeeter?
Oh my gosh, I just totally lost my train of thought. But you know what? I think one for me is the music, but I love the time frame. I love the thing I've always loved about it is that era that Indy was done in. Everything just was awesome. Like especially
stuck in my head.
Especially in the second one, Temple of Doom, the cars, the Club Obi-Wan, the music, the whole fun. It was just, I love that era.
Yeah. Chris?
For me, The Last Crusade was the very first Indiana Jones movie I saw, and it's my personal favorite because it's the first one I saw, and then
Forget your
listen,
fetus. I
listen,
know.
listen, I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like tied with Last Crusade because I know it's the original, but
Yeah.
like with Last Crusade, it was the first Indiana Jones movie I saw on like my TV back when you had to like change the channel with a knob because we had one of those TVs. And you know, you have Han Solo and James Bond punching Nazis in the face. Like, what more could you ask for? That and Harrison Ford's the greatest actor who ever lived. So anything that he's in, you know, I'll watch.
Because you are the biggest fangirl in the world for
I am.
Ford.
I
And there's
really
nothing wrong
am.
with that. Nobody's judging you on that. And I think we all kind of are at least a little bit. So what I want to talk about for a minute is what makes Indiana Jones, like I mentioned in the beginning, Indiana Jones is kind of one of those geek gatekeeper pieces. You have to be into it to really be sitting at the geek table, I guess. You know, and we don't treat people like that, but this seems like one of those that everyone has to have in common. Otherwise, if you don't get it, it's like I don't get you type thing. Does that make sense? Without me
Yeah.
crapping on anybody, what makes this character so iconic and so just the glue with every other sci-fi and comic book and superhero geek thing in the world? This feels like it's the glue. No matter what you're into Indiana Jones. What makes it so iconic and what makes it so the glue? Yeah, I have thoughts, but we'll get back to me. Michelle, go ahead.
Because these movies have everything. They've got adventure and folklore and legends, and then they've got the historic places and significance. But then you've got, you know, Indy is just so lovable. I think of him kind of like as this reluctant hero, and he's funny and brave and smart. And what I like about him is he goes from, you know, he's like this actually educated scholar, archaeologist guy who, you know, then has the fedora and the whip and goes and jumps and does crazy things. I mean, it has everything.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It's
Anyone?
it's true. He's a superhero without powers.
Yeah.
He's Captain America without the shield. I mean,
and he's just so lovable. Like he's just because he's arrogant and I don't know. I don't know. He's just got everything in my opinion.
Fair enough. What about you, Pixie?
It's kind of hard. I mean, I agree with Michelle completely. It's totally the character of it. Here's this guy who's a teacher, and then suddenly like he's like a hero by night. Like it's weird. Like he protects like the museum and the art and history by night, and it's just kind of like something you connect with, but you don't really connect with.
That makes sense, actually.
Like you want to connect with it?
Yeah, you want to.
Yeah.
It makes him very human in a sense. And it's funny because when I was little, when I first watched it, I was just like, Harrison Ford. Ah. But on top of that, absolutely just wanted to be with him. You know, you want to help him. You know, you're dodging the darts with him. Like, no, keep running. You know, the boulders coming up behind him and you're no.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what movie it is. You're in the movie with him. You're trying to help him the whole way. No, it's the other one. She's in the other one. She's not in the car. You know, you're yelling at him the entire time. Like, no, because you're just so into it.
Yeah.
If you're not into it, you're not getting the point of the movie at all.
Yeah. I'll get to Skeeter and Chris in just 1 sec, but something that made me think, something that they did very intentionally in this movie, which I don't think I've ever seen another movie do it quite as well. They turned Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, into a sex symbol simply by he's teaching in the class and they have every girl swooning. They have "I love you" written on their eyelids, all that fun stuff. Everybody remembers that scene.
Yep.
That 2 minutes turned him from, you know, the guy's like into girls are like, oh, he's a sex symbol too. And it was very interesting, almost advertising, hey, he's a sex symbol, people. I think that was an interesting choice that they made on that.
Well, he's dreamy.
super dreamy.
He's the hot school teacher that goes on adventures and saves the world from the Nazis in like 2 of the 4 movies. I mean 3 movies because we don't talk about the 4th one. But like he's so iconic because like he's rough, he's rugged, he's dashing, and he's also book smart. Like he uses his intelligence to get out of the sticky situations. Plus, he'll kick your butt if you try to steal something that'll, that clearly belongs in a museum. And did I mention that Harrison Ford's the greatest actor who's ever lived? Period. End of story.
And he's not afraid to fight. That's important. He's not a pacifist. He's not a wuss guy. He's, very much alpha male, manly man, without being. Well, no, I mean he does some kind of dirtbag alpha male type things, but we don't.
I don't know if I call him alpha. Like he's just
really.
Because to me, I think he's still kind of down to earth, like because of the nerdy like school thing that I love. Yeah, because he's dreamy.
He's an archaeology professor, which is like the 3rd most boring thing you could study in college, according to one of my friends. But like,
it's geology.
It all ties or philosophy.
That means unemployed. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. but like Michelle said, he's just so dreamy. I don't know if it's because Harrison Ford just has a spell on my heart or whatever. but like he's just so like he's chill about kicking your butt if you try to steal something that belongs in a museum. He's chill when your face is melted because you open the Ark of the Covenant. It's just he's I love him. I love Harrison Ford. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Skeeter, what about you?
Oh, well, I mean, what doesn't make him iconic? I mean, first of all, the kicker is that he's Han Solo. Like, I mean, but then you go into this whole piece that he's just this, chiseled chin, classy dude. He's got all the right lines. He says the right things. I feel like everything the dude did, like from Raiders through, like, and dude, the punches, anytime that guy hit anybody, it sounded like a bomb blowing up. Like the greatest punch sound in any movie ever historically. He fought
cowboy style,
straight cowboy style. Like you're absolutely right. So the way he fought, the way he loved, the way he was adventurous and smart, everything about him was iconic. It just, I loved it.
Everything, what I think, I mean, especially from a guy's perspective, he is everything that you want to be as a man. He's smart, the ladies love him, and he's not taking advantage of that in general. He's a leader. He thinks his way out of any situation. He's tough. He is the total package of who most guys would aspire to be. And I think he was a very interesting role model, which I never really thought about until I started talking right now. He was actually the role model for an entire generation because he was a little bit of everything, which I think was kind of interesting. Now, I think that Harrison Ford was just such a magnificent choice for Indiana Jones. I don't, all these new movies that they want to make and kind of make someone the new Indiana Jones. It doesn't work. Only Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, and I don't ever want to see anybody else play him. With that being said, originally there was someone else that was cast. Do you all know about this?
Well, there was.
I don't remember. I've heard.
Are we talking about the list of people that were considered?
No,
or are we talking about
the one that had the role? And then his contract for a TV show he was on said he couldn't do it. And that man, go ahead. Who is it?
Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck and the mustache of Doom.
Yeah.
Now, no. I know because Harrison Ford was perfect. I could see him playing this part. I think it would have been 2 movies and done.
I don't even think it would have made 2 movies. I mean, I love Alec. I think they would have tried to do a second one, and it just would have completely bombed.
I agree.
Because Harrison Ford was magic. Now, and another character that was cast and he couldn't get out of because of the show Taxi, when Danny DeVito was supposed to be what's it, Sela?
Sala.
Sala.
Yep.
I did not know that.
He was originally cast Danny DeVito, but he had contract disputes because of the show Taxi. Again, what a stroke of luck. And these guys are A-list actors. I love Danny DeVito with everything in me.
Yeah, and
else.
it would have been a completely different movie situation. I mean, I just don't think it wouldn't have gone as far. I don't think.
Like, just thinking of like Tom Selleck as Indiana Jones. That's like if AMC went forward with Matthew Broderick to play Walter White in Breaking Bad. That would have been terrible.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's true. It's true. Matthew Broderick.
We love you, Matthew Broderick, but
I don't love Matthew Broderick, but I have my reasons.
You are not the one who knocks.
But like, yeah, just I didn't know the bit about Danny DeVito being Sala, but like, it's just funny because like, you know, I forget the name of the actor who plays him, but he also plays Gimli in the Lord of the Rings.
John Rhys Davies.
Thank you. They're totally different movies if you if you change any of those.
Well,
like,
it would have very quickly become Romancing the Stone, which Danny DeVito would have played the same part he played in Romancing the Stone. And that, as I say, the casting on this was so accidentally perfect after hearing this. I mean, but again, this is why let's talk just for a second. We're going to talk Crystal Skull for a second.
Ew.
Yeah, well, we have to, because why doesn't that work is because they were trying to replace Harrison Ford. They were trying to make Shia LaBeouf into the new Indy. They even made him his son, blah, blah, blah. That's why none of these movies after this point will ever work, because I can't buy anybody being that role, because he is perfect in this.
Well, I also think it didn't work because Harrison Ford is almost 80 years old now. So, like, he was old when they filmed Crystal Skull. Plus, you know, the whole nuking, he jumps in a refrigerator and he survives a nuclear blast. Like, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
There were a lot of stupid things about that movie, but, like, they had John Hurt in the movie. John Hurt.
Yeah, I don't remember. I watched it once.
They had a bunch of like good actors and actresses. Like Kate Blanchett was in it. Ray Winstone was in it.
But just
Jim
like we talked about
Broadbent.
earlier. But like what we're saying earlier, and I'll let you get back to that point in a second.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about earlier is these people were perfect in the roles. There was honestly Tom Selleck, fantastic actor. Danny DeVito, fantastic actor. Does not work because the groundwork has been so perfect. And other actors, no actor can save it, because Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford.
Yeah, and I think in the case of the Crystal Skull, like kind of like the Star Wars prequels, I think it was also just a bad script. You know, like you could they couldn't
Don't give it excuses.
Yeah,
Stop.
No, I'm trying not. I know, we spent a whole entire Patreon series on it. So which, if you're not a hard Patreon, you should join the Patreon. Plug that in for you.
Hey,
you're welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
You have to admit that did have, there were some redeeming qualities of it, but as a whole, like, but yeah, it did. And we could talk about that later.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually kind of worried about this 5th movie that's coming out in 2022. Harrison Ford's almost 80 years old. He's clearly too old for this stuff.
They're trying to replace him at this point.
You're just poking the bear, Chris. You know he's just going to go off.
Yeah, I know.
I'm concerned about the fact that I have a technical difficulty. I come back and we're talking about the movie that I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to be talking about.
Yeah, we are. Doug brought it up.
Talking about Indiana Jones.
Well, but I wanted to bring it up. And I'll just reiterate this one more time, because I want to say why these movies won't work is because Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford. And when you're trying to make another character into Indy, Even if Indy is in the film as a mentor or whatever, it doesn't work. The movie could work if you give it a different name, and we've had this discussion on other stuff before. This is holy grail stuff to geeks. You can't mess with this franchise, and well, they shouldn't.
I
Okay.
would say I did like Shia LaBeouf in it, but
Oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
wait, I have to say it. Like he played his part well.
Yeah.
The problem that I had was that he didn't like school. And it's like I get it for that era that he's the rebel. He's
He's
got
the
the flag, and okay, whatever. The point is not that, dude. You're missing the point. Henry Jones, the whole family loved school, and he hates school. He's skipping school. He's avoiding school, and it was like, what? You can't take over your dad's legacy if you don't even like school. He's a teacher.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're missing the point. Like, yeah, he's great in it, and everybody played their part really well in the movie. But that was the most frustrating thing. It was, you're going back to school. They're having an argument in the back of a van or truck or whatever, talking about him going to school, and I'm just like, no, he should just be in school. He should just love it.
Because he should have that intelligence. But again, this is them trying to replace the character because they wanted to go forward with Shia LaBeouf being the new Indy. That was the plans.
That would have been terrible.
But that's why I don't want them to put anybody else in that role. Give it a different name.
Or at least in the final one, or assuming the final one next year, if it's like a passing of the torch, I get it. They're messing with it. I think if Harrison Ford had not been involved in it, then I think that would be even more blasphemy as far as the franchise is concerned. But I think I almost want to give it a chance. I love Phoebe Waller-Bridges. I want to give it a chance just to see where it goes, because I think at this point we don't really know what the plan is here. Like, how is he going to pass the choice? Like, I don't know. I'm curious what they're going to do with it. If that's what they do and it's the end and that's our last Indy, cool. I don't think it should go beyond.
I can be okay with it, but Indy's got to die.
I have an idea.
He's heroic and die.
It's got to be, it's got to be the end.
I have this great idea.
Yeah.
So Shia LaBeouf still plays his son, becomes evil, and kills Indiana Jones.
He wears this mask for the rest of the series for some reason, right?
Done.
Does he have a cat on his lap?
Like, he stabs him in the heart.
Does he have a lightsaber too? Because this is sounding vaguely familiar.
This is sounding a little familiar.
Excalibur, because that's
I say we just blend it all together, and he is just like the quintessential evil guy.
But
wow.
I could understand Disney wanting to pass the torch and kind of making this like a James Bond type of thing where you have a different actor or actress play the role. But I think with Indiana Jones, when you say Indiana Jones, you think of Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
So, I like Michelle and probably everyone who's a fan of this franchise, I'm going to watch this movie no matter what, because I love it. But I think if it's done right, I could see like a couple more Indiana Jones films with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, because she's phenomenal too. She's a phenomenal talent.
She is. She's amazing.
I think they could totally change it to Adam Driver as his son. I don't know. It would just work out.
He had another son that he didn't know about.
They could do that. He's been in too many things with women, so
we're off the rails.
So now, actually, with some of this weird fan casting we're doing right now, I do want to bring up actually Han Solo and Indiana Jones. It could be argued they're very, very similar characters. Mm-hmm. However, I think a lot of Harrison Ford's acting choices made them wildly different. What do you see as the huge differences? And this is my number one thing. Han would jump. He doesn't think about it. He doesn't know what's going on. He relies on luck. Indy will know everything that's going to go on behind him, in front of him, on the side of him, what's going to happen in 5 years, because he researches and he's brilliant and he's smart. So that I like that. I like Indy better because he relies on his brain rather than dumb luck. This is why anybody could be Indiana Jones. Nobody can be Han Solo, and that's because you die. But I think that was a very intentional choice to make them different because they could be pretty similar, and I think that Harrison Ford did a pretty good job of splitting them up. What do you guys see as some of the differences between Han and Indy?
Han. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to call on you anyway.
Han to me, like, he's a con man. He's kind of shady. He's not the smartest dude. I mean, you just have to admit it. He's not the most intelligent.
But he makes you real fast.
Well, he's got street smarts, and then Indy's just, he's educated. He thinks things through. He's book smart, but he also has the toughness and that. I think Indy's just kind of more. I love Han Solo, but I think Indy's just more of like that whole, like you said, he plans things. He knows if he jumps this way, he knows everything else that's going to happen in sequence. Han just flies by the seat of his pants.
Mm-hmm.
So
like the first scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and this is what you were saying, Han would have ran through and he would have survived and it would have been okay. And he would have just narrowly avoided things. You saw Indy stop every time. He goes, don't step there because this is going to happen. Nope, stop. You're going to die right there. And I think that's just such an interesting difference. Yes, they both get the job done. I prefer the Indy way because it is real. No, I'm not saying anything that happens, like the melting of the faces and all that, is real. But
that's
Indiana
real.
Jones, it's a real. There's more reality to Indy than there would be to Han. What about you, Pixie?
So I'm gonna actually reference something completely different in order to explain why I think they're different characters.
Okay.
Have you guys seen the full video for the Leroy Jenkins joke? Like the whole thing. His entire team spent like 25 minutes planning. That's Indiana Jones right there. Okay, so guys, we're gonna go in. We're gonna go over here. Don't go to there. Don't go to there. Those are bad guys. And Han Solo is Leroy Jenkins. All right, I got my chicken. I got my Chewbacca. I got a Leroy, and he runs in, and he would live. The difference is, instead of them all dying at the end, he would live. Everybody else would be sitting there like, what the heck? And I don't know if everybody else would survive. Mm-hmm. I think Indiana Jones would, because it's Indiana Jones. But if you put them both in the same area, that's literally what would happen.
Yeah.
Like Indiana Jones would be like, planning it out, guys. Okay, this is what these guys are notorious for, poison darts. So versus Han Solo, who shows up late and just goes, let's go. Sorry for the guitar riff. But he would just run right into it. Just let's go, because he's got Chewbacca with him and he's gonna go for it. And the other point to that is Han Solo is always by himself. He's always just Han Solo. I'm sorry, Indiana Jones. See, my brain is switching it already because I can't with the same actor. It's dreamboat, it's just.
But is Indy alone? Because he usually has at least a sidekick and a chick.
Well, yeah, but I think what she's saying
is okay. No, I see what you're saying on that. Skeeter, what about you, bud?
So Han Solo, like you're right. Han Solo was the just. I mean, he played the iconic smuggler. He didn't have a care in the world. He could live or die. To where I love the fact that there were certain aspects of Indy, that hapless romantic kind of a guy. Say, he played kind of the same role with Leia, that he did with his lady love interests. Smooth, kind of, look at me, I'm still kind of this tough exterior kind of a guy. But I just loved how the intelligence level of how things work, like go right to Indy, right at the beginning. He goes into the cave, but he takes out his bag and puts, 4 handfuls of sand, like he knew that it was going to be like 4 handfuls of sand. That's what it was going to weigh to take that statue off the thing, to where freaking Han Solo would have just ran in there and been like, thrown it all to the wind, gone in, grabbed the thing, okay, get lucky and not get hit by a freaking spike or a dart or whatever, and then run out.
Yeah.
But I just, and that's what kind of draws you to one or the other. That's what made a lot of us, I know it made me as a kid, like, it made me want to be more like Indiana Jones in the way that, he was just everything, the way he the adventures that he had, the things that he went on, it was really neat the way that they separated the characters, because they could have really stuck that together. I mean, even though he did say he switched it up, but he said, in every movie, there was a part where he said, I got a bad feeling about this in one way or another.
Yeah. Now, Chris is our resident Harrison Ford groupie. Tell me, what is your thoughts on why are these characters so different when they could be the exact same?
Well, they're not the same. I mean, even though they're played by the greatest of all time.
What did I just say, guys? Just ask. Okay.
Like I agree with pretty much everything that everyone has said so far. Like Han Solo, he's a smuggler. He's kind of selfish. He'll like just do whatever, whenever to get the job done. Whereas Indiana Jones is very precise, calculated, thinks everything through. But, Indiana Jones also cares about the world and preserving these ancient artifacts so that, he can share these things with the world. Whereas Han Solo, he'll get in a starship and just blow everything up because that's his solution for most of the things. But, both Indiana Jones and Han Solo, they are smart. They are smart characters in the sense that Han Solo went to the University of the Streets, whereas Indiana Jones went to whatever university he went to get his doctorate in archaeology. And like, it's fun to have two really smart characters and see how like street smart versus book smart plays out. But, Indiana Jones also has a little bit of street smart too, because, there's that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where the guy's like doing the whole sword thing, and he just takes out his gun and shoots him. But like that's one of the best, street smart.
Yeah.
It's just one of the best movie moments of all time. He had the flu.
Dysentery. Yep.
During the filming of that scene, which, if I didn't know that fact, it still makes the scene amazing. But like,
which scene was that?
The one where he just shoots the guy. Like,
let's do the sword.
Flailing
and he kind of has this like, oh come on, and he just shoots him right there.
Like, I'm over this.
This is another Harrison Ford accidental iconic moment. The I know was not written in the script.
Yeah.
The shooting the guy was not written in the script, and they were both propelled this character so far forward. Absolutely amazing on that. Now,
it's partially why he's the greatest actor who's ever lived.
Because he Han Solos it and just stumbles on some good stuff time to time.
Or does he Indy it?
Ooh,
not such a good pilot, but
no. Let's jump into our listener feedback.
And now, let's see what all of our geek rock stars have to say.
Okay, for our listener feedback, we asked everybody what is your favorite Indiana Jones moment and why does it stick with you? So, Michelle, you want to read these for us?
Absolutely. Crystal Midget said the Indy roll when he ducks under a wall and grabs his hat before it gets trapped and crushed.
I love that.
When we were in high school, my husband did it for theater class, and I think I fell in love with him then and there. I think that's why that moment stuck with me. Aw. Daniel Houston says when he faces off with the swordsman. Here we go. As you'd expect, he could have just used his whip to try and disarm him and brawl, but instead he was like, nah, and just shoots him. I'd like to think it's because he's self-aware enough that he knows his limits, but it's really freaking hilarious. Justin Bolt, not the biggest moment in the franchise, but I absolutely love when Captain Katanga has his first officer search for Indy, and he shouts, "There!" This is when he's climbing on the boat, and the music swells as Indy climbs up the U-boat, and the crew cheers him on. It gets me pumped every time. I actually rewatched that recently; it was so good.
It's a great
Derek,
moment.
Derek Taylor. He chose poorly. The quote.
Yes.
It has always stuck with me that what other people thought was worthy or made you worthy was a fallacy. As I get older, it became more apparent.
Yeah.
It was an excellent point.
We appreciate all our listener feedback. We had a lot of it, so we had to cut it down. But thank y'all for doing listener feedback. It does make our show a billion times better. Now, before we go on to the main event, because we're doing something different for the main event, but I want to ask you guys this question. Let's talk just for a few minutes about the supporting cast of Indiana Jones. The villains are always so villainous without being cartoony, I want to say. I mean, it's very easy to go for the Nazi thing. That's easy. But like the rival archaeologist that sells the stuff and that sells the stuff instead of giving it to the museums, and like Alfred Molina from the first scene of that movie of Return, he turns on Indy and boom, instant karma, he dies. But Short Round and the love interest, I think some of these people are definitely worth mentioning. Who are some of your guys' favorite supporting cast? Let's start with Chris this time.
Okay, the best supporting characters in the entire franchise, without even thinking: Marcus Brody, Sulla, and Henry Jones Sr. Just like, I did not like Temple of Doom. It's probably like, I don't know why I didn't like Temple of Doom. Maybe it's because I was too young and it scared the hell out of me. That could be it. I mean that the Kalima part's cool, but like, Short Round, it's just like, I didn't like him.
I liked
Data.
Short Round.
Dare you?
Data.
Data.
As a kid, that really connected these movies. I'm like, oh, this is part of my universe.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But like especially with Raiders and Last Crusade, like the chemistry between Marcus, Sulla, and Henry Jones Sr. is just undeniable. And I don't know, it's because you have some of the greatest actors of all time, excluding Harrison Ford for a second. But like, you have Sean Connery, John Rhys-Davies, and oh my God, the guy who plays Marcus Brody, whose name is blanking on me. But like, they just make the movie so that much more enjoyable because they add the comic relief in the right places, and they're true supporting characters where they're like, you remember them, but they also don't take up a lot of the story. But I just love them so much. I couldn't just pick one. And like the love interests,
they're always secondary. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't think they ever did a good job.
It's kind of like with the James Bond girls. It's like, the pretty one's gonna fall in love with him in the end. So it's just like, except for, yeah, I don't know. I think I think Indiana Jones was also inspired by James Bond a little bit.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are a lot of. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like,
I don't either. It's all good.
It's okay.
I need more coffee, so I'm gonna drink some more coffee.
Skeeter, what about you? Who are some of your favorites?
Obviously, I loved Marcus Brody, Henry Jones Sr. Like, I mean, you just couldn't go wrong with the actors that play the roles. But I was a fan of Sulla. I loved Sulla. He was really, really good. Going even further, I enjoyed the monkey. The monkey was great.
I know you're joking, but seriously, I had the toy.
I don't know. Is he joking?
But I mean, it like, there were so many different things. Like, I mean, that monkey played a huge part.
Yeah.
If the monkey wouldn't have ate the date and died, we'd be looking at a different Indiana Jones. right
like
now.
What If? It's fun.
But I mean, if you think about it, like the different villains, I mean, from Temple, I mean, Lao Chi, you know, you had this guy that was like, you know, his really angry, you know, his sinister laugh. The guy that I really couldn't stand was in the weird Nazi dude from Raiders with the round glasses. I didn't like that
Oh
guy.
yeah.
That guy terrified me. Without
He
Yeah.
was
he's the only one that didn't scare me when his face melted.
that like grabbed the thing, that grabbed the amulet and was like, ah, yeah, that guy freaked me out. But no, my most favorite of all time, Sala, John Rhys Davies' part was amazing, and it kind of blew my mind because, you know, how many times I've been to Disneyland. We used to go once a month, and we would always ride Indy, and you'd be in the queue waiting, and you'd hear Sala, and you'd be like, oh, that's Sala. Well, during WonderCon one year, we were on a voiceover panel, and we met the guy that actually does the voice of Sala, and it's not Sala. Like, you're just like, wait, what is going on right now? Just totally crazy, totally different dude, sounds just like him, but it blew my mind, and I don't know. I love that's my favorite.
Pixie?
So Saul is a definite. I can't picture any Indiana Jones movie without Sala. I would have loved to have seen more of Short Round. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. I like Short Round.
Because the card scene, when they're sitting there playing, he goes, "You're cheating," and he like pulls some stuff out. He's like, no, you're cheating, Mr. John. Like, he just immediately starts throwing about the fun that they had, on top of the fact that he was perfect with him. He was really helping him. They were going back and forth. It was, even though it was kind of crazy and chaotic because he's a kid, he still knows. He knew what to do. You know, I would have loved to have seen more Short Round.
Yeah.
You call him Dr. Jones.
But I absolutely also love Mary in it because she's the only female, and I mean, honestly, there really were only two, but she was really the female that went out and did stuff with him.
Yeah.
Like, she was fine adventuring with him. She was fine helping him with stuff. She would hold on to things. She wasn't just the one from, I can't think of her name right now, but the one from Temple of Doom. She was just
Was it Millie or
whatever her name is?
Such a
So
terrible
Willie.
Such a bad stereotype.
Yes.
Generic blonde number 5.
Yeah, she's screaming and crying and everything's wrong and she's complaining and she doesn't want to be anywhere and it was just like, okay, go back to the valley, lady.
Yeah.
I need like somebody that's gonna help you.
Yeah.
That's actually a good take on that. Michelle, what about you?
I like Marion, Karen Allen, who plays her. I really liked her for those same reasons. Like, she's just she just fit with him so well, and she just had that great personality. I just loved her. Of course, Sean Connery, and Short Round was just one of my favorites. I loved the interaction between them because it was almost like a father-son kind of interaction with them. So even though this guy scared the crap out of me when I was a kid, the Mola Ram, the guy with the Kali Ma guy with the hand and the heart, I don't know why, like, he scared me to death, but fascinated me as a kid. I was just like, this guy is intense.
You want your own Disney Plus series about him?
Yes.
I want a Disney Plus series about the monkey.
Oh,
can we do like?
But just like with Rogue One, you know, he dies at the end, so can you really enjoy it?
Yeah, if it's done right.
With the backstory of the monkey.
Dark. Nice. Now, I have a character that's not really a character, but I think it's something that went through every movie, and that is Indy's fear of snakes. That fear literally was its own character. And we looked forward to it every single movie because that was his kryptonite.
Yeah.
And they would always find these situations like with Temple when they have all the snakes, the floor is moving. Yeah, the floor is not moving. That's snakes. You know, it's like, it's terrifying. And I always had a thing about snakes too. But yeah, I thought that was its own character, was his fear.
I just think it's funny that this really cool, suave, debonair guy who's not afraid of anything is afraid of snakes. That's why it works, because it's on one hand it's funny.
Humanizes him.
Yeah, and on the other hand, it's like if I was in a room full of like cobras, I'd be scared too. So it's like
I did like how they added his dad's fear of rats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see the dad, and you're like, "That's Sean Connery. He's not afraid of anything." No, he's definitely afraid of rats, just like I'm afraid of snakes. Like it's like what? But I loved. You're absolutely right, though. The fear of snakes keeps you going. It really does.
It's weird that became its own character. Now we got to jump over to our main event.
Now it's time for the main event.
Okay, so for this version of the main event, we are not doing a top 5 list. I asked everyone to pitch us a new Indiana Jones movie. We can have actors at whatever age you want them. So you can use Harrison Ford at 12 years old if you wanted to. I want to know the basic storyline, and I want to know who you're going to cast as his character people. Now, before we start, Satomi wanted to be on the show, and we are going to give her a chance real quick and take it away for a second, Satomi. Okay, so we are back, I guess, like with that half second of space there. How you doing, Satomi? It's nice to have you on the show.
It's so nice to come in. I miss you guys.
It's weird we haven't seen you in like a month. It's really weird for us.
I know, it's so
strange, through
withdrawals. But it's very happy. I'm very happy to be rehearsing and very excited to be opening a virtual interactive show. So yay! It's my own adventure. I'm being an Indiana Jones of the theater.
I do want to plug this real quick because this comes out next week. Your show starts next week, correct? Or is that this week?
No, our show starts actually this week. We go into previews, and it's called The Lodger with Northern Stage, and you can check it out online. Tickets are only $29. The whole family can watch. Audience participation is optional.
Does that mean I can throw toast?
No stress. You can absolutely, in the privacy of your own home, feel free to throw toast and spray water bottles. Absolutely.
And I can say Bullwinkle. That's my audience participation. That's where I am.
Okay, there you go.
You can find the link on the Facebook page, and I'll make sure it gets to the top of it when this show goes out. So
you're awesome. Thanks. Yeah.
So Satomi, now tell us about your idea for the new Indiana Jones movie. You can use anybody from any age. So you can have Indiana Jones, you can have Harrison Ford at 25 if you want. It's any age. It's your world. Live in it.
It is my world. Well, picture, if you will, in a world. I can't do the voice. We need Giorgetti. So camera opens up, Hawaii, daytime.
Nice.
And we see the back of a tour group going through, particularly the back of an elderly gray-haired lady listening to a tour guide talking about the legend of King Kamehameha and where his bones are buried, and how they were buried in secret because of the fear that a rival could come take his bones and thereby take his mana or his power. And of course, she goes over the legend of the Menehune, which are the little people of Hawaii that were considered to be extremely far advanced. And there are legends that they actually had care of King Kamehameha's bones. Now we switch to Indy, who is now in retirement on the Big Island, where he is dogged. Yes, it's a good place to retire. He is dogged by Awkwafina, who plays a professor from the University of Hawaii, who's a professor in Hawaiian studies, because she's a big Professor Jones Indy fan. And strange natural phenomena start happening on the island, like all of the dormant volcanoes start rumbling, and there's just some strange stuff going on that has convinced her that someone has found and disturbed the bones, or is getting close to getting to the bones of King Kamehameha. And I won't go too deep into it. Adventure ensues. We have Jason Momoa as the love interest, who is the local who helps Aquafina, maybe has a crush on her that she just is completely clueless about. And then we'll also offer Indy some of those fun, awkward moments of like, he's better at a lot
Everything.
of things than he is. Exactly. And he's Jason Momoa. So, but the big reveal is that the mastermind behind this evil plot to take the mana and rule the world was actually the gray-haired tourist in the very beginning, who was revealed to be Betty White, who I think.
I'm kind of in right now.
Because here's the thing, she's hilarious, but I love it when comedians go completely opposite. And I think she could play a really good dark,
dark bad
power crazed bad guy. Exactly. Who's dangerous, but because she's off kilter. All the things we love about her are what make her dangerous.
That sounds awesome. Is there any other surprise casting you're gonna throw in there before we?
Well, I always love me some Benedict Cumberbatch in there somewhere. So he can just have a cameo.
Very good. As Sherlock. Oh, I'm seeing this. Okay, sorry. Let's get some extra worlds going in here.
I love it. Alternate universe kind of stuff.
That's fun. Okay, outstanding. Thank you so much, Totomi. We miss you.
Thanks for letting me come in.
I know you'll be back on sooner or later, but yeah, we miss seeing you every week.
I miss seeing you guys. It's a threat. I'll be back. I mean, a promise. Later.
Bye.
Times after a failed movie deal, he gets hired by Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, who play Roger and Barbara Miller from Ohio. Now they're an eccentric married couple searching for Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest. Indy is reluctant. He's, but he's going because he needs the money, right? So now they meet up with Jane Lynch, who plays Berta Matthews. She's a local general store owner and Bigfoot expert who tries to educate Indy on tracking, wilderness survival, and the various Bigfoot calls that she has perfected over the years, and she demonstrates often. Spends the entire film trying to one-up him. Harry Shearer plays former bassist of Spinal Tap, Derek Smalls, who is now living off the grid in a cabin in rural Oregon. The team follows his trail, certain that they're about to discover the home of Bigfoot. Even though Indy suspects otherwise, Berta convinces Roger and Barbara that she's right and leads them on a hilarious trek through the woods, where they eventually come face to face with Derek Smalls, who is bathing in the creek.
Does he look like Bigfoot? You're in.
Yeah, because if you remember, Derek has crazy hair in Spinal Tap. Well, it's only gotten crazier. So he is just,
I'm absolutely in.
So anyone from Hollywood wants to give me a call, ready.
Yeah, we call this poor man's copyright. We get it first. Let's go with Pixie this time.
So I don't want to go last because that was really good. No. I don't want to follow that.
Okay, Christina.
No, my idea was kind of after Last Crusade, I want him to pick up Short Round. I want him to go back to Short Round. And I want him to help Short Round with, I don't know, finding out family past, everything. I want him to go to China with Short Round because that would be awesome. And I want them to go on an adventure during trying to find all of the ancient dynasty items. Like, for example, and I know this is weird, but did you guys see The Mummy where they went to China? I want them to be in that era. I want them to go there and find all of the ancient warriors and stuff like that. And I want him to find artifacts to take back to the museum. I want him to find a weird thing. I want him to find an ancient Chinese purse. I mean, and I would love to have the lady that plays the mom in that movie. I can't think of her name, but she was also in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She's in a whole bunch of them. She doesn't speak English except for when they ask her to. And I want her to be like his mom secretly. I want her to secretly be Short Round's mom. Just, I'm your mom. Boom.
I'm in.
She's an awesome person with martial arts experience. I want him to pick up Short Round, who's staying with Sala. So that way he makes a nice trip, they pick up some supplies, maybe some Chinese guys come after them, and that's when they decide to go straight to the source. It's like I want it to just I want all of this to be connected and awesome. And I just think that'd be such a cool thing too, because you'd actually go back to history.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, I don't want to follow hers because mine's nowhere near as cool now.
Oh well.
So it's like now it's just kind of like that's nice. That's nice. Thanks again, Pick. We really appreciate you coming on the show for little things. We always count on you for the little stuff.
Let's go.
I really wanted that. I wanted the Short Round story.
Yeah, you wanted to see where he went. That's outstanding.
I like it.
Peter?
Oh my gosh, really? Okay.
Yep.
So I stuck for more of a serious, like, this is what we could really do, because I mean, what the heck? I'm always looking for that next $1 million, right? Oh wait, I haven't.
Or that first million.
Yeah.
So like I created my cast first, and based on my cast, I created the adventure. So I went with I was looking for solid, like chiseled ladies could kind of chase after him. So I went with Bradley Cooper for Indiana Jones. Kind of a different look, but he could pull it off. Jack Dylan Grazer, because I was like stuck between Zachary Levi and Bradley Cooper for the role of Indy to keep it real. So I went with Jack Dylan Grazer, who was a kid from Shazam. So, like he would be that little kid sidekick role. So I kind of kept it here in the US. Sala, I was like, who's an actor that could play the role of Sala and be funny, but kind of grizzled and still kind of meet that thing. So I went with Clooney, just because, he might be able to pull it off. And then
so far this movie's about $10 billion, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. So we're there. Like budget is unlimited, right? I got the black card. So I went and I just said, you know what? If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. So since Harrison is older, I'm pulling him in as dad. So he's gonna be Henry Jones Jr. So that would make Bradley Cooper Trey. So we'd have Henry Jones the third, and then or Jeff Bridges, current Jeff Bridges, because he's kind of chiseled, looking good now, older with the gray hair, beard. And then the love interest, kind of goofy, freaky. You love to hate her because she just kind of went off the rails. But Renee Zellweger would be the female love interest, just because she could probably pull it off. But I'm thinking, one of my I am like just drawn to anything treasure related. And if we ever do, I don't know if you guys have done it, Pirates, but I want to do that because my rewrite for the end of Pirates of the Caribbean is amazing. But I think we're going after Blackbeard's beard. Like everybody's looking for his treasure. And they can't find it, even though it's buried behind a house in South Carolina. I literally think we need to find Blackbeard. But that's my adventure, and I'm sticking to it. So
outstanding.
Did he shave it off, or did it fall off?
That's where all the magic comes from.
Scalping situation.
Yeah, that's the magic of it.
I'm curious now. I'm gonna have to watch this now. See what you've done, Peter.
See, there we go.
Okay, Mr. Giorgetti.
Well, I came up with this idea while I was watching my New Jersey Devils get destroyed by the Pittsburgh Penguins last night, because that's how fun the game was. So,
not saying a word. It's an podcast.
I present to you my idea for Indiana Jones and the Curse of the Templar. It's a little long, so just strap yourselves in. It's very detailed because I have a lot of...
Is it Oak Island?
All right, here we go. In the final adventure for Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones, his retirement from a life of education and saving the world is abruptly cut short when he receives a package on his doorstep. He opens the box and it contains his father's Grail diary and a note which reads, "Bahamut has returned," aka like the devil. He calls a new professor. He calls the new professor of archaeology, played by Olivia Colman, and asks what she knows about Bahamut and how the Grail Diary is related. She informs Indy that the Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant were relics of the Knights Templar, and they have gone missing from their final places of rest. The Knights Templar also worship Bahamut, aka the devil, and will stop at nothing to return the relics to him. She recommends that he partner up with her best student, played by Emma Stone, to figure out where to begin to look for the Grail. There's just one problem. He has to fly to Jerusalem to find her. So he reluctantly agrees and goes to the Holy Land. And he finds her doing some research at the Dome of the Rock and is met by He goes there and is met by a bunch of angry Knights Templar led by Mahershala Ali. There's a ruckus, and Indy's clearly too old for this crap, but Emma Stone saves the day. And Mahershala, it's a lot of money. Mahershala Ali flees. They use the Grail Diary to lead them to Golgotha, where they find the Grail in the tomb of Jesus, where there's another note which reads, "The Pope has the Ark of the Covenant." So then they got to go from Jerusalem to Italy, where they are chased around the city of Rome by Mahershala Ali and his 100-acre crew before ultimately defeating them. They discover a secret passage into the Vatican where they discover an ancient pathway which contains secret treasures that only the Vatican knows about. They find
national treasure.
Basically, they find the Ark of the Covenant in this like secret treasure layer of the Vatican, but are stopped by, here comes the plot twist, Olivia Colman. Oh my God, she simply used Indiana Jones and Emma Stone to bring the Grail to her, so she and Mahershala Ali could summon the devil, kill the Pope, and usher in a new dark age of chaos.
Wow.
But in
This is amazing.
There's more. We're at the end. In typical fashion, the villains get their faces melted off because they didn't read the instructions on how to summon the devil properly, which leaves Indy and Emma Stone unscathed. Suddenly, the Pope, played by David Oyelowo, appears and tells them to destroy the Grail and that the Vatican will destroy the Ark. This way, the remaining Knights Templar can't destroy the world. The world is saved once again, and the final line that Harrison Ford says, directly looking into the camera, and you're gonna have to guitar this out, I'm going home. I'm getting too old. Da 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 da. Roll the credits. Da 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 da. So that's my if I had. See, this is what happens when
all the money in the world. You could make this movie.
Yes.
So
I'm just trying to figure out, when you said strap in and sit, use the long ride, did you plan on like it doing this the whole time, or was that just along for the ride? I love all of it, but oh my gosh,
I was
crazy layers.
I was literally sitting at the Devils game last night, and I had a general idea of what I wanted to talk about, but I'm just sitting there watching them get destroyed by the Penguins, and I'm like, okay, what if Mahershala Ali was a bad guy? I'd pay money to see that. What if Olivia Colman was in this movie too? I also paid money to see that.
Do you get to see Crosby's face melt at any point in this movie?
He scored 2 goals. He scored a goal and 2 assists. I was so mad.
The face. Okay, anyway.
Melted my face. Sorry about swearing, but he
will be talking about this on George Eddie on Ice on Wednesday.
On Wednesday,
check it out. It comes out the day after this. Definitely check it. I'm sure he will be talking about this.
Yes.
Okay, so let's do mine real quick. Mine isn't nearly as detailed as anybody. It's not as good as anybody's, but I just did kind of a little rough thing because I didn't know you guys were going to go like freaking all out. Like I feel really bad about myself right now. Okay, so mine starts with a 90-year-old Harrison Ford, and at the first about 20 minutes of the movie, he's searching for the Fountain of Youth. He finds it. Poof! We get young Indy again. All that's solved. Yay! Because they can be at any age. So, yeah. Okay, and the rest of the movie is he's actually looking for a statue, and it's called the Living Statue, and it's made of carbonite.
I see what you're doing.
Going on there.
See what you did there.
This is where this whole thing. It's a multiverse. So yeah, he's still in carbonite.
Of course it is.
It is.
Yeah.
Because the multiverse and there's no scrolls.
There's no scrolls.
But how does he break them out? It's a different era.
We don't know yet. I'll let my editors figure that one out.
And is he killed by his son? I just want
possibly. Okay, let's see. And then let's see. His sidekick on this movie is Warwick Davis, because I think that would be so much fun. Because why not? His love interest would be Selma Hayek, and the bad guy would be Wyatt Russell, one U.S. agent. Tell me he would not.
Someone's been inspired by Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
No spoilers.
Tell me he would not be a fantastic rival archaeologist.
Oh, he would. He would.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Y'all can totally see that.
Yeah.
And then
especially now.
Then the writers I'd bring in is whoever writes Archer. Because that's my pitch. You know, you do with what you want, Hollywood, but I don't even care if I get paid. I want to see this movie because that. Yeah.
So if you're on Spielberg or George Lucas's team and you happen to be watching right now,
I think
Patreon and let us know.
You have to get both of their approval on it. Good luck.
It's no Bigfoot mockumentary, but
you'd kill to see him searching for the living carbonite statue.
Also, if Disney, if you want to pay me for my idea, I'll write the movie for you. Just pay me $1.4 billion in advance.
Well, they just hung up the phone. Outstanding.
I just want to see the movies that we've all talked about for free.
Absolutely.
That's not too much to ask. You know, free popcorn, like a free trip to the theater.
Well, that's why you're talking $10,000-$15,000 right there with the popcorn.
I mean, not for the
extra
group
butter.
Of us, popcorn, drink, and then candy. We're good. That's good.
We're close to $1 million.
Maybe a couple hundred. Not that bad.
Some cherry ices. I like it.
I mean, if you want to do that instead, you have to pay extra for that one. No, it's just a basic drink.
Just the basic drink.
Oh, okay.
It's not even a large popcorn; it's a small popcorn. I want all of us to have all of our ideas in a movie theater, and then we can all sit down and watch them.
Outstanding, guys. That was a show. I'm sorry if we went long, but this was a really fun episode. Check out our website, www.iheartgeekshow.com. Use the com. Somebody's gonna say it? No.
We paid extra for it.
Thank you.
And because I swear it, I will be donating $5 to a charity of my choice.
And I have an idea for that charity, and that charity should be our Patreon.
Yes.
Help us get more content out to you, and support the show. It's $5 a month minimum, and we have new stuff going in constantly, and still working on some new gifting systems, but we'll get that out to you. So until next time, I am Dub. I'm here with Skeeter. I'm here with Chris. I'm here with Pixie, and I'm here with Michelle. Keep on geeking on, guys. Catch you next time.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.